what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere? Welcome. Welcome to Thursday late. Not late. It's 6:37. It's not that late. I mean, we've done later, right? But it is a Thursday evening show. Make sure you guys, do the same thing, that some folks do, which is liking, sharing, and of course, encourage people to subscribe to the channel too. And if you're new here, please do so. Shout out to Tusk Talk with Ty Patreon supporters. We have the new names list up of all the new of all Patreon supporters from the month of February. That list is up in Discord. We are going to spin for those cards tonight. I've been a little busy, but we are going to spin for those cards tonight. So for the February Patreon supporters, whether if you're an $8 supporter, which is the yellow names in Discord, as most of you know, and then the legendary status members, the red names, they've got an opportunity to win an autographed card. There's what we did 3, right? Is that what we said we were doing for February? I think that's right. We're doing 3. All right. Again, appreciate you guys for being here. Please make sure you share this link to friends, family, whatever. Let's continue to grow as the Tusk Talk with Ty community. It's growing. It's still growing. Discord. We need some folks at Discord, man. Y'all come on in. Spring football's here, and if you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to get information first. In fact, it happened today. You were getting information in Patreon chat. Not much, because we heard from Sam. We heard from Sam Pittman today, and the microphone, his mic. It was a debacle, and I didn't even upload the Zoom call or upload it to YouTube. It was pointless. It was not good audio. So luckily for me, I've got my hands on the transcript, so we're gonna kind of go over some of what he said here in just a little bit. But yeah, I do appreciate everyone. Yo, what's up, Blood Diamond? How you doing, Michael Kerper? What's going on? What's up? What's up? Yeah. So. Patreon supporters, again, I appreciate you guys. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, better than best results, man. They're closing in on 1,000 5-star reviews. Give them a call today at 501-244-3667. That's Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. And, of course, a shout-out to BroThrow, the best in peer-to-peer sports betting. They're based out of Northwest Arkansas, man. Like I say, they're coast to coast, border to border. They cover Major League Baseball, NBA, and of course, the big 3 the big 2 in college sports, football and basketball. But it is peer-to-peer sports betting. So use promo code Tusk, all caps, to get involved, to go lay down a bet, right? Okay, let's just go ahead and start it off. It's out of order on the screen. I was going to start with Arkansas, Mississippi State, but let's start off with, what is this new thing? What's going on? What are they hiring? What's Sam Pittman talking about when he was asked about a general manager? That's happening. They are actively now, they have done an about face on this. They are going to hire a general manager. And this is a big deal. You should have probably done this, I don't know, a while back. Because you're starting to see more and more teams add a general manager. Now, for those of you who pay attention to pro sports, you know what a GM does. They help facilitate for a better tomorrow. They help facilitate for the future, for the roster as it is, and also long term. They're a part of all the deals that are made. I think the GM's job is it's pretty thankless. We always talk about just the performance on the field, or on the basketball court or whatever. We don't talk enough about the GM that helps facilitate that roster, and that's what a GM does. And they also negotiate coaches' contracts. They kind of handle. It's basically like they handle all the office work. Like when you hear someone say, "Oh, the front office," the front office, whatever. They're talking about like the GM and everybody around him and his team, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. If you watch NFL Draft Day, you'll see the GM in there with some of his people around him and the head coach. But that's what. Yeah, I mean, this is an entirely not entirely new concept to college athletics, but it's new and it's going to take on a bigger role. I think there've been people in place that have similar roles that help facilitate, to the roster, and they help with recruiting. Like you've got a director of like high school relations. And I think Arkansas just hired a new one recently, actually, and his son is he's going to play quarterback at Fayetteville. So we talked about him. Where did we have that conversation at? That's right, Tusk Talk with Ty Patreon Discord chat. So anyways, he was asked, Sam Pittman was asked today, what are you, well, let me find the exact, when they brought up a GM. I think he was asked about it twice. New faces, how much are guys trying to be different? Well, we got the health and availability, and we'll talk about, we will get into just kind of the other things that he said, because he did talk, he talked about the two quarterbacks coming in a little bit. He was asked about it, talked about the spring game and so on and so forth, and also, oh, by the way, Zuri Madison, full go. Remember, he had the torn ACL. He's going to be back. And Jordan Anthony will not be – he's not going to be available for spring camp. Wide receiver out of Texas A&M, the transfer. All right. My God, where is the question about general managers? Here we go. What are you looking for in a general manager? Well, I want somebody that's done it, so that makes you think you have to go to the NFL, NBA, or whatever to find somebody like that. You want someone who's kind of done that before, whether that be top dog or the second, somebody that understands that, because that's something that I've never dealt with. I have for 3 years, and I want some help. But you'd want to be the guy that's able. You want a recruiter. If somebody comes in and says, "Well, I need $500,000," and you don't just want, hell, any of us can say, "Oh, okay." Again, I'm reading this off the transcript. And then he says, "We need a negotiator." I need someone that takes the quote unquote, "Well, Coach Pittman won't give it to me. Coach Pittman won't give it to me." I need that taken off my plate. I need somebody to be ahead of what the market is. And I think the market is going to change again because of revenue sharing and your collective. It's not going to be, hey, can we pay you $1? Somebody, or $1 million, $1. Could you imagine? What is this, 1905? How can we pay you $1 million out of the collective? Or, hey, can we pay you $1 million out of the collective? No, we can't. We could pay you the max out of what you're worth. And a committee is going to say you're worth $5,000. That can't be right. That's got to be a miss. Anyways, it's going to be it's going to change. So we need somebody up on the rules. We need someone that's a good talker, a good recruiter. We need a guy that's a good evaluator, because we obviously have corners. And we'll go, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and you don't go. There's a lot here. This is a little lengthy part here, but I'm trying to trim the fat here. Find something else that was. You'll have group of coaches. Hold on. It's difficult to read these transcripts because he does kind of bounce around a little bit. So you're trying to go to the next part of the sentence. And it doesn't make sense with what was being said previously. So anyways, yeah, I want somebody else to talk to them, then give me the information. So essentially, he needs the workload taken off his shoulder, and this makes sense. Coaches, like there's this. Again, I hate to bring it back to the Rams, but that's the team I follow and I have since 1994. It's the team paying attention to this in the NFL. There's an interesting dynamic right now between Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. Right? Matthew Stafford wanted a ton of money. The Rams didn't really want to give him that initially, and they told him to go test the market. Well, who do you think was a part of that conversation? Not really Sean McVay. That would be up to that's the GM in the front office. And maybe McVay's involved in that from like an evaluation standpoint. If a GM has a question about a specific player and trying to gauge maybe their value, again, that's what a GM's going to do. I think a GM job, it sounds cool, but man, I bet even on paper looking at what they do would be a huge pain in the ass. I mean, imagine you're going to be responsible. You're going to be responsible for that entire roster. And in the NFL, what do you have? 50, whatever it is, 53, 56. Basketball is going to be quite a bit smaller. College football, there's a lot. I mean, you're talking, after you include even walk-ons who you're going to have to deal with, it's like over 100 players. So it's going to be a challenge for whatever GM walks in and takes this job on. It's something worth, like, it's probably going to have to be a job that you're getting paid pretty damn good money for, because it's also like you got to look at it from a value standpoint, right? A good GM and someone who can go out and hopefully they have, he talks about recruiting. Well, then they're going to need their own pipelines. They're going to need their own pipelines to certain parts of the country. So now not only are you looking for a GM who's going to be able to handle just the roster part of it. Remember, in the pros, they don't have to recruit. I mean, they scout out college, players, but it's completely different postseason, like, how you go about building your team. A GM's going to have to essentially be a great front office manager or an office manager, staff manager, roster manager. He's also going to have, he's going to have to be able to go recruit. Now, I imagine what he's going to have to do is he's going to hire, he's going to work with the coordinators. He's going to work with the position coaches, the grad assistants, everyone that's involved, maybe even the analytical people. And then they're going to kind of facilitate, it's going to be probably more like business as usual, but maybe he's going to have like his own tight, maybe he's got a couple of guys he can rely on to go handle. Well, you go handle Texas, and we'll go handle South Georgia the way that Bobby Petrino or Sam Pittman wants us to go, because he's got a heavy interest in that pipeline to South Georgia. Pittman does. So that GM is going to try and, go to those areas. So I find this fascinating. I love it. I love the idea of a general manager finally being added on, but he said it straight up. Like, we need one yesterday. I think he was starting to say that, and he kind of, he needs one now. And it seems to me like, again, they were backpedaling on this last year. So they're finally making this change, and it's a big deal, man. I think this is a big deal because this could, like, if and I don't know how some of the other teams to do it. I think the very first team that I can think of that did this was LSU. I think LSU, or at least in the SEC, was like they were the first team to do it. And so I don't know, like, Maybe GMs are responsible for different things at different schools. It's the NFL has guidelines, and and you've got to abide by the NFL, and then just the way the teams already, like the way they're handled, the way they're facilitated, like it just the head coach doesn't do near as much as what they once did in the NFL. GMs have completely taken that off their shoulders over the last several decades. So maybe college football, this is baby steps for a lot of these programs that are doing it, including Arkansas. Yeah, they should have done this sooner. Without a doubt, Arkansas should have done this, at least a couple of years ago. But it's very clear that Pittman is over it. He's over dealing with, he doesn't want to be the bad cop all the time. You're already, like, your job is to coach these guys, not have to deal with the contract side of things, which we're not there yet, but, come on, we're close, right, with the collectives and NIL and everything, and with the portal. So, like, yeah, you want someone to kind of help you take that workload off your shoulders and just concentrate on being a coach. But coaches, it will never be the NFL, okay? It will never be that, because you're going to have to still recruit high school players, and so maybe that's kind of how I think this will work. Again, I'm sure every coach is going to be different. But I think that, some coaches might be willing to say, you know what, you just do your job and just go find me players. Go get me some big-time players out of the portal, which, by the way, we could be going down to that 10-man portal. That's a possibility with one portal window. But, as it is now, we've got the window that's going to open up in April, which he said it today and I forgot. I want to say it was the 16th when that second portal opens. But anyways, go to the portal, go find me guys, go find me players. Let's just go from there. Or the coach is going to be like, here's a roster of guys These are guys I'm looking at. I want you. I'll text them. I'll call them. I'll do the in-home visit, but I want you to stay on top of them. I want you to do, half the work or maybe the full work. Maybe you're going to be the guy visiting and I'm going to be the guy texting and calling. I'm sure every coach is going to handle it different. Every program is going to handle it different. You got to wonder what the athletic director /GM relationship is going to be like, and then how do you like the salaries of these GMs? Is that going to be based on just kind of what their roles are? If they don't have as big of a role, then they're not going to have maybe as competitive a salary as compared to a program where maybe a GM has more roles, So we're headed into some interesting waters. I'm excited about it. I think it's really I'm all for it, man. Anything that's going to give you an advantage, especially in recruiting, you've got to take it. All the way down to jerseys, all the way down to what if you're doing alternate jerseys or not, right? All the way to the atmosphere of the stadium, anything that gives you an advantage, I'm all for it. But, the thing is, this will be the norm. GMs, I think you're going to have a GM at every single school within the next 5 years. I really do. Well, at least of the power conferences, right? The P3, P4 conferences. I think, or the vast majority of them. And I think there's several now that have them. But Arkansas does seem to be a little bit behind in this category. But I'm glad they're finally doing it. All right, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff, man. I know, it's there's a lot of pessimism and apathy set in, But hey, I'm all about it, man. Football's in the air. Hog fan 40 ounces says, I hope they can get a good GM. Yeah. Kid is from Texas, so he's good. Wait, who? Whoa, what? Who's from Texas? Kid's from Texas, I just watched the highlights from Tuesday, and Sweet Thing Brazil looked his Maui self from a few years back. Yeah, it was so good to see that, right? We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But yeah, so anyways, man. So a general manager, so what does, if you Google just like what a general manager does in college football, I was curious. It says a general manager in college football is responsible for player evaluation, contract negotiations, and roster management. So essentially like every GM that's ever existed. They also work with donor collectives to pay players. Scout players, evaluate college players entering the NFL draft. Well, that's clearly NFL. So they just pulled. This is just general manager. Other GM responsibilities. So this is NFL. But it does say role in college football. In college football, the GM's role is different from the NFL. The head coach is still in control of recruiting and roster decisions, though the GM handles most of the player evaluation and signing. Yeah, again, I think that's going to change. I think you're going to see GMs slowly start to take over. Again, coaches will always have say-so in that roster. Always. They're going to always have an emphasis on their pipelines and where they're recruiting. But I think a GM's going to work more and more with their head coaches, again, to facilitate the roster and the future of that program. It's a challenge, to when you talk about like the future of a college football program, it's a challenge because it changes. There's no, you could quite literally, you could have guys just hop in the portal in April. That quick. Like they'll just hop in the portal. They're gone. They're done. Right. And so you don't have contracts like they do in the NFL. And yet they don't have contracts yet, but I don't know. It's going to be difficult, like when you're trying to build for the future in college. So yeah, I don't know that you're going to have matching salaries to the pros. Many GMs start as assistant scouts and are promoted to director of college scouting. So again, this is not what we were talking about, but or vice president of player personnel before becoming a GM. So yeah, I mean ESPN talked about this several years ago about bringing GMs into college football. Like this is not it's not brand new. Like the idea of bringing in a GM is not brand new. This has been rumored for, I mean, even before COVID. I can remember this being a conversation. Talking about the new Fayetteville high school quarterback. Yeah. Yep. And his dad is he's the at least that's what I was told. His dad's the head of high school whatever. Well, I forgot the official role that I was told. Hang on. It's interesting because his son is a highly rated prospect. He's got a lot. I'll say this. He's got a lot of offers. Yeah, high school relations. He's the director of high school relations at the University of Arkansas. So his son is playing quarterback at Fayetteville. Baylor's offered, Texas Tech, Arkansas, I want to say Oklahoma State, and a couple other offers already. So what's going on, Transplanted Texan? How you doing? Make sure you guys like, share, and hit the subscribe button, please, if you haven't already. Yeah, don't forget to join the Discord. That's right, man. Join the Discord. We got a poll up, Arkansas or Mississippi State, and 97% of you have picked Arkansas. All right. Well, Arkansas, Mississippi State, this is going to be a interesting matchup. Mississippi State's going to have a little bit more size. You're not going to be I don't think you're – I could be wrong, but you're not going to – what did Arkansas have in the last game? 8 for 8 on dunking. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to have – I'm not saying we're not going to get Brazil highlights. Maybe we do, but I don't know that you're going to get 3. They've got a little bit of size, man, and they're a strange team. Mississippi State is strange. Josh Hubbard, leading scorer, 18 points, 2 rebounds. He averages almost right at 3 assists. He's shooting almost 35% outside. He's 88% at the free throw line. My God, that's insane. 88% is a very good number. 39% overall shooting, so just south of 40%. Yeah, I mean they can do it. You know, they got a couple guys averaging close to 7 or more rebounds. Keyshawn Murphy being one of them, close to 12 points a game. Cameron Matthews, the other, who's about 7 points a game, 7 boards, also averaging close to 4 assists per game. They're several guys north of 75% at the free throw line. I don't know. Like Josh Hubbard can be a problem. Josh Hubbard can absolutely be a problem. Mississippi State, a good team, a really good team. Kind of a surprise for me, anyways. I wouldn't have thought that they would finish with knowing how difficult the conference was going to be. We didn't know it was going to be this difficult, but I don't know that I would have had them at with 8 conference conference wins or not. It's not a shock, but I wasn't as high on them as some other people. I just wasn't. And they beat Memphis way back in, when was that? November or December, 79-66. And then they went on the road. They too beat Vanderbilt, their second SEC game. They started off 2-0 in conference play. They lost to Kentucky 95-90. They went to Auburn and got smoked by 22 points, 88-66. They beat Ole Miss, got smoked by Tennessee on the road, and then they swept South Carolina, which, South Carolina was really bad this year until they played Arkansas. Go figure. Lost a close game to Alabama, got smoked by Missouri. Like, they're kind of a wishy-washy team. They go on the road to Georgia, who everyone's all in on Georgia right now, and I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, but saying they're on the right side of the bubble and everything, they are playing pretty good ball right now. But Mississippi State beat them by a point on the road, and they also won at Ole Miss by 10 when Ole Miss was ranked 19th in the country, and then they turned around, they beat Texas A&M the following week. So they won 81-71 over Ole Miss on the road, and then they held on and they kind of clobbered A&M 70-54. Lost to Oklahoma. They got swept by Bama. Then they beat LSU. So that was their last win. They beat LSU 81-69. They lost to Texas. So now they got Arkansas. And according to the analytics, the matchup predictor, Arkansas is favored at over 57%. Mississippi State favored at 43. Or, well, they're giving them, I shouldn't say favored. They're giving them about a 43% chance of winning. That's really high. That's really high. And I think that's, I don't know, man. I like to do these blindly. I haven't checked this game in about a week, a little more than a week. I don't remember what it was last time. I don't remember it being this. I don't remember it being 42% chance. But I don't remember it being that high, but I think it was like 35. So if that is the case, then they jumped about 7% since last time I looked. Might have been more than a week ago. But yeah, Arkansas. Yeah, you're gonna give Arkansas 10-point cushion at home, right? That's gonna give you 10 or 12 points if Bud Walton Arena brings it. The good news about this, it's an 11 a.m. tip-off. Good God, do better than the last time you had an early tip-off, please. It's 11 a.m. tip-off, and this is a absolutely everything for me is a must-win from here on out. For Arkansas, everything from here on out is a must-win. I don't think we can sit here and play this like, well, just win. Just win everything in front of you. Jerry Palm came out with his bracket. He's got Arkansas in at the 11 seed, playing Clemson at the 6. Wow. Holy crap. Clemson, first off, Clemson as a 6 seed is stupid. That's stupid. No way. I know they don't have a ton of quad ones. I get that. But, like, dude, yeah, the ACC's garbage. I get it. But a 6 seed, Clemson? I mean, right now they're ranked behind Duke in the ACC? No. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be surprised if Clemson's a 6 seed. Memphis, I think, was the other 6 seed. I don't remember who the other two were on Palm's bracketology, but that's just absurd, man. I mean, imagine Clemson as a 6 seed. That's your first matchup. Good God. I hate to say it, but if you're in and that does play out, that Arkansas is going to end up at the 11 seed versus Clemson, who's the 6 seed. I think the one and done stuff. But I mean, my God, Clemson. No. Looking at his list though, like the 6 seeds were really strong. So maybe that 11 seed luck kind of wears off if that happens, right? What's going on, man? How you doing, Steve-O? Long time no see. Away games, Missy? What? What is Mississippi State's away wins? Oh, well, let's look that up. Glad you said that. They've got their net ranking is 33, and they are 6-4. They have a winning record on the road with a 20-10 overall record. They're 4-1 on. That's a good number. That's a good neutral floor number. I don't know who those 4 are. But 4-1's a good neutral. That's a good number there. And then there's 7-8 in quad 1. If you're talking about now, maybe you're asking about Clemson, so I'll go to Clemson. My bad. I probably Clemson is 4-2 in quad 1. They're 2-0 on neutral floor, and Clemson's 9-3 on the road. So, but I mean, remember, and they've only played 6 quad 1s this year, just 6. Did you guys see that graphic where like 13 SEC teams, I think it was 13 SEC teams had played more ranked opponents, like individually, not together, not combined, than than Duke. Like the ACC is hot flaming garbage. So maybe that's why, combined with the fact they've only got 4 quad 1 wins. They do have 2 quad 2 losses and 1 quad 3 loss. But I don't know. I still think they're a 5 seed. Because eventually you have to look at they have to pass the eye test too. And Clemson, to me, I haven't watched them a ton, but I have seen them play a little bit. I watched a good second half earlier this year with them playing. Don't ask me who it was against. I had it kind of on the background as I was sitting here doing notes or something for I don't remember what I was doing. But anyways, unimportant. I kind of caught Clemson's second half, and they looked really good. Like, I mean, they were scoring quick, scoring fast, pretty aggressive team. They looked like they could play physical. I mean, they kind of have the parts, right? I mean, I don't know. To me, that looked like what I was watching looked like a legit top 4 seeded team if I had to guess at the time. Of course, that's been, several weeks ago, but which means it would have been an ACC opponent. So no matter what, you expected them to win, right? They have a 25-5 is a Clemson's overall record. I think they're going to jump. I really do. We'll see. But I just don't see that playing out where if Arkansas gets the 11 seed where they end up playing Clemson. You know what I mean? Clemson would be a tough draw. Oh my gosh. Perry, you ain't lying, man. That I'm sorry. I wouldn't like Arkansas's odds. And listen, there's going to be the 6 seeds are going to look imposing anyways, right? I mean, the other ones in Palm. So you had Memphis. God, who were the other two? Oh, Mississippi State. Wasn't it Mississippi State? As the other? Hold on. Why don't we just pull up his freaking bracket? Let's look at it here. If I try to share my screen, I wonder if OBS is gonna. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. Here's his bracket. This was Palm earlier today. So this is updated today at like 10:47 a.m. You can't really see it. See if I can zoom in. Mississippi State. They are the other 6 seed. That's right. Arizona, right? I wouldn't want to be matched up with Arizona. And then Clemson, and then Memphis. Dude, yeah, those are some really good 6 seeds. Now, I would argue Mississippi State probably not going to end up at the 6 seed. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know that I see that. But he's got Duke, Auburn, and Florida and Houston. So he's also got just the 2. And I think that was what he did last week too. He's got the 2 SEC schools, dropping Alabama down to a 2 seed. He's got Kentucky as a 4 seed, Vandy as a 9. I'm telling you, that's too high for Kentucky. That's way too high. Like I could almost see them swapping Kentucky and Memphis, or at least Kentucky drop it down to a 6 or maybe a 7 seed. So that's his. We get we'll get some more refreshers on the brackets soon. That's kind of what we're looking at there. Why can't we get North Carolina like we used to all the time? You'd feel a little better, wouldn't you? You'd feel a little better. Hold on, where is North Carolina on here? I saw them. I know I did. I know they're not having they are ACC and they're not having a great year. Hold on. Did he leave? Is North Carolina out? Oh, he's got first 4 out. Yeah, he's got North Carolina. Despite their 38 net ranking, right? But again, strength of schedule, that stuff. Listen, and from what I understand too, I heard Jerry Palm say this earlier today, and I've heard this before. The selection committee does not they don't look at conference. They don't care about the conference, where you finish in conference wins. They care about like just your total wins, quad 1 and all that. And bad losses, don't rack up too many of those, and quad 1s. By the way, did you guys hear Jerry Palm this morning when he called into Chuck and Bo? Did anybody hear that? I have listened to Palm talk before. I don't know that he's exactly an enthusiastic guy. He's definitely like a nerd. You know what I mean? An analytical nerd. But that interview this morning was insane. He just was like, Chuck and Bo, as soon as he hung up, Chuck and Bo were like, they were on, it was funny. They were like, that was brutal. His interview, because he wouldn't even give them full answers, and he seemed grumpy, and Chuck pointed out, he was like, and this again was when Jerry Palm had already hung up, Chuck was like, man, yeah, we're from Arkansas, we're calling, I'm sure he knows what we're going to ask. It was, I don't know. I would highly suggest going and finding that on Chuck and Bo YouTube. No, I am not. We're not affiliated. I'm going to give them a little love here. I thought that was interesting, man. When I saw that Jerry Palm was calling in, I was like, well, I want to listen to what he has to say. He's still, obviously, he's got Arkansas in. They asked him how many, like, what does Arkansas need to do? And he was like, win the next 2 to get in. Chuck and Bo clearly believe they were already in, that the 7 was enough. I thought that. I really did. I thought that for a while. And after talking with one individual in Discord who was quite passionate that Arkansas needed at least 8, it was kind of funny. I kind of felt like I was poking the bear a little bit. He seemed to be pretty grumpy over it. But he had a good point. Like, the more you look at it, Arkansas, the bubble teams, his point was that the bubble teams weren't real strong. I would argue that that's probably most years. That's probably most of the time your bubble teams are not super stout, right? I mean, that's why they rotate so much every week. Well, at least it feels like it. It seems like bubble teams rotate in and out. Not that I pay a hell of a lot of attention to bubble teams, to be fair, because it seems like either Arkansas's in or we're in, or they're not. And this year we're actually, the Razorbacks are on the bubble, so it is a different position to be in. But yeah, these 6 seeds are wild. Arizona, Mississippi State's the weakest of these. Memphis, and then Clemson. When I say that, watch Mississippi State go the distance this year. That's the way it always works when I shit talk someone. That's the way it always works. Watch us have to play Kentucky in the SEC tournament. Yeah, right? Right, Steve-O? I wouldn't mind playing South Carolina. That game was a fluke. I think it was too. I think South Carolina was a fluke. I agree. Mississippi State's going to be a tough one. I do like Arkansas. I'm going to take Arkansas to win this, but I mean, this is going to have to be something. This is going to have to be something that you just cannot play. You can't play anywhere near. You can't play half as bad as you did against South Carolina on the road. Arkansas is such. Listen, for outsiders who don't understand what's going on, right? And I get a few of them that come through and watch. I don't get a lot like I used to, but I get a few every now and then. And they just see the record. They see the conference record, which 7-10 is not atrocious, right? It's just not great. But, like, you got to understand the injuries this team has had to deal with an already, not super deep team. You had a 9-man rotation that you were supposed to be able to work with, and unfortunately the injury bug just really keeps screwing this team over. It's just really, I wonder what this team would look like if they could get Boogie Flan and Adu Thero back for the NCAA tournament. It's not going to happen. I think they're both out. I'm going to be real with you. I think Arkansas stuck with the 7-man rotation. God, I hope I'm wrong. But because of that, you never know. I mean, who the hell thought that Arkansas was going to walk into Vanderbilt and do what they did? Who thought that? Nobody. Hell, no one would pick Arkansas to even make that game close. It was a 7.5-point spread, which in hoops is relatively close. But I think most people, had you put a bet down on old BroThrow, I think you would have bet Vandy to go well beyond a 7.5-point spread. And instead, what you got was the opposite outcome, where Arkansas made it look silly, winning that game 90-77. Brazil showed us what he is capable of. My God, and we all know it. He's caught a lot of flack. The stuff this dude went through last year with all the nonsense, off the court stuff and everything that dude has gone through. He's had a crazy season or crazy time since he's been at Arkansas. Mostly not great. Let's be real. It's not been great for Brazil at Arkansas. He's not really been anything, at one point he was touted as a first-round draft pick to now, what's he going to do after college? What are his options? Europe? I mean, and that's what's crazy. So, I love seeing this dude battle through all that crap and find a way. And he's had 2 of the last 3 games. He's been phenomenal. And what he did on Tuesday night, in the middle of the damn night, was incredible. He didn't take 18 shots to get to 16 points. He took 8. 8 shots to get to 16 points. 8 attempts at only 2 shots at the line. So it's not like he was racking up shots at the free throw line. He was 6 of 8, 3 of 5 outside, 14 boards, 4 offensive rebounds, and just 2 turnovers despite playing like 36 minutes. He was fantastic. 2 blocks. Almost, I thought he came close to a third block. But he was great. We need more of that. You get more of that, and based with this 7-man rotation. And by the way, your bench, when was the last time they scored 15 points from your bench? When you had like 2 other guys there? Was that the last time you scored that much from the bench? Or maybe Big Z coming off the bench back when he did that, So like that game won't. I don't see that happening again. Vanderbilt, they were at a pretty big size disadvantage and just overall talent. I mean, to me, that was that was just an incredible showing of what happens when you've got the athleticism, the overall talent, the size, and just everybody locked in. That's what Arkansas is capable of. I mean, Vanderbilt ran with a 9-man rotation. And all 9 of them got pretty good minutes. The fewest minutes was 7 by Roberts, number 24, who didn't do anything. No wonder. Carey had 28 off the bench. Tanner had 19. Collins had 22 minutes off the bench for Vanderbilt. All 5 starters were either close to 20 minutes or above 20 minutes of play. Well, Edwards, did you guys see the night Edwards had? We kind of looked over it. I didn't really talk about it in the postgame. But Edwards was 0 for 12 for Vanderbilt, just 2 points. 0 for 4 outside, 0 for 12 overall shooting. My God. And Vanderbilt ended up shooting 38%. But a lot of that had to do with Arkansas's tenacity on defense. That's what they need to do. You don't have to play that well to beat Vanderbilt. To beat Mississippi State. They are good. Mississippi State is ranked for a reason. This is a good team. I honestly would think, if you ask me, like, Ty, what would your prediction percentage be? Like, similar to the Basketball Power Index or the matchup predictor on ESPN, which favors Arkansas at 57%, where would you be? I would say, I think that's pretty damn accurate, actually, because 43% is close. That is close, especially for it being a home game. I think that's pretty fair. Anything can happen Saturday. Just because of what happened Tuesday, I mean, we know this team. You know why? Because we don't know this team. We only know what we don't know, right? I mean, you don't know what the hell team's going to show up on what given night. And I hate to say that because it's cliche as hell to say, but it is the truth. I mean, again, 72-53 on the road against South Carolina. Then you turn around and you go to a more hostile, better team in Vanderbilt on a short turnaround in the middle of a Tuesday night, and you pollywop these guys. I say pollywop. I think it's mollywop, but I like pollywop because that P allows you to put some emphasis. You pollywop these guys. 90-77. Brazil plays out of his mind. But I don't think you have to play that great. But, hell, I don't know. Maybe you do. Again, Mississippi State's good. 11 a.m. tip-off. Again, I like Arkansas to win this game. Yeah. Case in point, we do numbers for television. We're in. Oh, that's also a good point. I don't know how you leave out the Cal factor, right? How do you leave out the Calipari factor? How do you do that? How are you just going to leave that out when you're this close, you're on the bubble? Again, you can make the argument, well, the bubble's weak, blah, blah, blah. Man, it is every year. I mean, maybe it's more so this year, but I don't know. Part of me still believes 7 might have been enough, but I don't care. Get to 8. Get to 9. Get to 10. Go do some damage in the tournament. Brady Lewis says the ACC falls is as crazy to me as the SEC's rise. That's a really good point. Growing up, ACC was always at or near the top. Brady Lewis coming through with a damn good take. That is very fair. That's very true. ACC is garbage. The ACC has been garbage. And meanwhile, the SEC's they could break the Big East's record from over whatever it was, 14 years ago. They could break the record. The SEC could. Do the Hogs try to drive the paint like they did against Vandy, draw fouls, and get Mississippi State in foul trouble? That is who they are, right? I mean, that's what Arkansas wants to be. They want to go up and down the floor pretty quick. You know, Arkansas's at a disadvantage when they let a defense, well, anybody is, but it seems like, you know, especially earlier in the year, when you let a defense get set up, you know, figure out what they're doing on defense, right? Either if they're playing man, to get on their man, or to find their space on the floor and defend it if they're playing zone. That's what you don't want to do if you're Arkansas, because their half-court offense most of the year has been abysmal. It's because and some of that too was because of Boogie Flan. And we did find them running some set plays and doing things out of timeouts and you know, doing well on the inbounds points and doing the things that are necessary when they need them to score the most, right? Cal's been really good about drawing things up and finding a way to either get to the bucket with Wagner, cutting to the bucket, letting Big Z splash outside, drawing fouls. Like, they've done a better job lately, and that's one of the biggest changes I've seen from this team, is doing just that, driving, getting points, and drawing. If you're fortunate, maybe you could make some and ones. This has got to be one of the worst and one teams. Like, the ball just never seems to drop for them off those. But yeah, this is going to be a tough one, man. I don't see Arkansas. It'd be great if they ran Mississippi State off the floor. It would be fantastic. I think that would maybe change the narrative a little bit after what happened against South Carolina, and maybe that would show that Vandy wasn't a fluke. And I hate to say it, because I mean, think of it like this. And Cal's talked about how he's had to coach different teams this year. I think he said he's coached like 4 different teams in 1 year or something. He was saying something like that in the I think it was the post game. And he said that, you know, you've got now you're down to the 7-man rotation. He's had to coach these different teams. You go back to February 1st when Arkansas beats Kentucky 89-79. They go on the road and they beat Texas. Well, all of a sudden you've won 3 of your last 4 and everybody's attitude changed. What if I told you after that Texas game, oh, and by the way, you're going to go on the road and get stomped by South Carolina, but you're going to blow Vanderbilt out? What would you have said then? You would have been like, no way. We just beat Kentucky and Texas on the road. By the way, Texas at the time was playing decent ball. They weren't as great. They've never really been great this year. They also had to deal with some injuries and stuff. And then, also, like, even in that span of time, you almost came back and beat Alabama from a, whatever it was, 20-plus point deficit. You nearly came back and won that game, only losing it by 4 points. To then say, yeah, you're going to go on the road and get stomped by South Carolina. So the narrative is just true. This team, the cliche is true. You don't know what the hell you're getting with this team. So if the version of Arkansas that showed up in the second half against Alabama, if that team comes to town, or if they I say come to town, if they play that way inside Bud Walton Arena, they will, I think they would stomp Mississippi State. But then that first half team would get stomped, right? What we saw against Alabama in the first half. They're just a strange team, and it's very difficult to nail them down. And then you also factor in the injuries and everything else. I've been impressed with Cal, his ability to turn them around after starting off 0-5 in conference play. Come on, man. I mean, we all said it. Everyone here said it. This team is not going dancing. And now they're in position. They're in a really good position here where if they beat Mississippi State, I think you're locked in. I think you're locked in, even if you're one and done in the SEC tournament. But just win every game you can. Win everything that's in front of you. Just make sure you lock it down. It's that simple, right? Just go out and win. It's not that hard. Again, take the poll. Arkansas or Mississippi State, who you taking? 95% of you say it's Arkansas. 95% of you. I'm not shocked by that. Breaking news, Pittman fired and Bobby Petrino head news. It's legit. Laugh out loud. Yeah, all right. Bobby, the new head coach. Uh-huh. Case, I already read that comment. UNC only has one quad one win, so most have them for. Is it that bad? I knew they didn't have many. I thought they had like 3 quad ones. Damn, it is bad. Yeah, so Palm agrees. He's got him as the first 4 out. So yeah, Arkansas definitely won't be seeded against North Carolina. Watch them draw Memphis, man, and I wouldn't want that one either. You know who's going to be interesting to watch in the tournament? I hate to say it, and he's not proven that he's a postseason guy, but keep an eye on McNeese. Oh, wiretap Will Wade. Right now, they're a 12 seed up against Ole Miss at the 5. Man, I think I would take McNeese if that were to come true. In fact, in that Eastern bracket, I think I would take them over several teams seated higher than them. Keep an eye on McNeese, man. The more I read about them, I've seen clips here and there on YouTube, like that's a pretty dangerous team. I don't know that I'd want to draw them at the 12 if you were a 5. I wouldn't want to draw them. Keep an eye on them. There's some people trying to push like Lipscomb, and Lipscomb has played pretty good. Who was the other one? Was it Liberty Bibberty? Yeah, they're at the 12, according to Jerry Palm. New Mexico, they're at the 9. Some pretty interesting mid-majors in this bracket. So, Ty, do you think baseball has a legit chance this year? We look solid. Good Lord. Did you see the younger brother is batting? Hang on. Where was that at? I'm going to pull this up. The brothers from Hawaii are incredible. Yeah. Aloy, the younger Aloy brother. He's batting .556 with 36 at-bats. 36 at-bats. His on-base is .628. My God, his slugging percentage is 1.194. Man, if he hits anywhere near this close, him and his brother both are hitting the ball pretty well. Diggs finally got his first home run. I saw that. But his RBI count's pretty good too. 26 RBIs. 26 RBIs. I mean, yeah, when you're hitting the ball like that, right? Good God. They have some offense. All right? Nasty Nate, the hitting coach, deserves a little bit of credit here. Where's John Hawes at? Someone go tag him in Discord. I said it, John. Give Nasty Nate some credit. Horn's patience is running out with Diggs. Do you think the Hogs will make the tournament? Wait. Hold on. Are you talking about – we kind of switched sports there. I'm sorry, DJ. If you're talking about basketball, yeah. Yeah, I've got them in. I think they're in. And I'll tell you why. I think they're going to sneak a win in the SEC tournament. I really do. If you know, they're going to get a little extra – they're going to get an extra day because they've been playing all these Wednesday games, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. tip-offs. You know, now they play even though it was late, a Tuesday night. They're going to get that extra day. They don't have to travel. They should take care of business against Mississippi State. That's going to lock them in the tournament. And then I think they might actually win 1 or 2 in the SEC tournament because they have shown that at their best they can beat anybody. Almost beat Auburn. Almost came back and should have beaten Alabama. Clobbered Vandy on the road, right? I think at their best they can beat anyone in this conference. Auburn won by 7, and yet it felt like, you know, Arkansas is very much in this game. You know, they do have some embarrassing losses, Oklahoma and LSU, at Tennessee earlier in the year. Again, those games just to me don't even matter because you just weren't Cal, very Muss-like, right? Very, very Musselman-like, trying to figure out what that roster is, trying to figure out the right rotation. You lost to Ole Miss. I really think if you replayed all those games they lost, let's say they're what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, their first 6 losses in SEC play, I think they would only lose 2 of those. Tennessee and Florida, I would probably say they're going to lose those 2. But I think they would beat Ole Miss. That was at home. I definitely think they would beat LSU, and I think they'd beat Missouri. That might be a coin flip because Missouri was pretty good at home, and I think they would beat Oklahoma. So, I mean, just a world of difference. Talking about when Arkansas figured it out with DJ Wagner, right? Not talking about without Adu Thero and Boogie Flan. That's a different story. Of course, that's not the world we live in. That's not reality, right? Can't go back and replay those games. I think even without Adu Thero, I think they'd probably win all those, but maybe 3. Again, after Texas, after what we saw against South Carolina and that horrific effort, that awful play on the floor, I thought without Adu, there's no chance. And listen to me now. I'm telling you, I think they could win. And then I think they could probably win some more SEC games because that's how much one game can flip your opinion. If you can do that, then you should be able to do it again. 7-man rotation. It's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So you think we are in with that loss to the worst team? Yes, Johnny, because that one game won't define. Like you have to look at it this way, Johnny. You only have that one ugly game, and that's something the selection committee apparently takes into consideration, along with quad 1 wins. Yeah, I mean, one ugly game. A lot of teams have them. It's scary because you're on the bubble, right? And so that's why I think you maybe 7. That's why I've backed off 7 being the number. And then there's still a part of me that thinks it's still fine because, a combination of the strength of schedule and your your total quad 1 wins might actually be enough to tip you over the scale a little bit. It's about matchups, but it seems like we match up well against everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Which is, again, nuts, all things considered. Which is nuts. It's crazy. Spring camp. So let's go back really quick to what Sam Pittman said. He did talk about needs in the portal. Thoughts on defensive tackle and safety needs in the portal. Pittman responds both, and I throw corner in there as well. Matter of fact, Trey, I'd put any secondary position, and now we don't just need a guy, we need help. And again, we'll see what we have. But going today, I would say a couple of inside guys, and then whomever in the back end. But I don't really see a kicker, a punter, or a snapper, nor really right now today anybody offensively. I don't really know what that means. Now our numbers are skewed. We also heard about Carmona getting moved to the interior. He said today that with Robinson, the Georgia Tech transfer at left tackle, it sounds like that's going to be his job to lose. And they asked him about the offensive line. He said, we do have a lot of new offensive linemen. I like them a lot. I mean, he's not going to say I don't like them, but I think I got asked a question earlier today about how quickly we'll know who's playing what position. I think the answer for that would be, I think we'll know fairly quickly who our top 10 offensive linemen are, where they play per se. It might take a little while. So he thinks they're going to have a pretty good idea of what their depth will look like, because I mean that's where you're at with the 10, right? You need 2 deep at every position on the offensive line. Where they play might be up in question a little bit. But then he goes on to say, but I could tell you athletically, Corey Robinson, he can move. And we got what we wanted there. Carmona, we're looking at him a little bit more inside, whether that be at guard or center. Caden Kittler is a guy that I've been real pleased with at center. He was at Central Florida, and they asked him to go to Florida State when their offensive line coach went down there too. That was a big deal for me as well. And then he mentions a few other players, like Bubba Craig and Edmondson. Kobe Branham is a guy they've been big on. They've been big on him since he was in – I mean, they couldn't say it at the time, but from what I understand, they have liked Branham for a while. and keep an eye on him. And we talked about that in the offseason. But yeah, I mean, you're with Dummerville, and God, please, knock on wood here. If you stay healthy, we get a pretty good idea of what if you really are too deep at each position. They weren't that last year. They were not too deep on the offensive line. They were not too deep. We talked over and over about last year on this channel, in Patreon videos, in just Patreon chat. We talked. They are not too deep on the offensive line. It wasn't me saying it all the time. It was other people as well who were watching them play. They don't have the depth. They don't have the ability to rotate. Now, if you're talking about moving Carmona, who, by the way, was a third-team All-SEC left tackle, if you're talking about moving him to the interior, that's a big deal. What about Carmona makes him a candidate to move inside? How did he receive it? Sam Pittman was asked. He received it great because I think that's what they're going to do with him at the next level. I approached him about playing center because I think he'd be outstanding. If it's the best thing for him and for the team, that's what we'll do. I have liked Kittler. I liked him a lot. If Robinson was your left tackle, Carmona was your left guard, and Kittler and whoever, Kobe, Blackstock. It's interesting he mentioned Blackstock because I wasn't so sure. I don't know that after last year, I really questioned whether or not that guy should be a starter. But whoever at right, talking about the right side of the line of scrimmage, and then you find whether it's McRoy, whether it's Dummerville, whether it's Emmanuel Harris, and I don't mean that in order. Then you go find that. But I think Carmona was honestly. So remember, this is a transcript, so it would make more sense if I could play the footage for you. We got Corey Robinson, then we go. Well, that can allow us to help Junior a little bit more with his future and help the team. So he took it great. Again, talking about Carmona, he took it great. So we didn't really say we're going to move you. We went in there and talked about what do you think. He said, "Well, I think they're going to move me inside in the league, coach." And well, you're going to want to try it now. You want to try a little center. You want to try guard. So that's how it went. Listen, if Bobby or if Sam Pittman is telling you, hey, I think that's probably where you're going to play at the next level, that's probably the thing you should do. Say what you want about him as a head coach. I don't care if you're Hog Blitz, who absolutely can't stand Hunter Yurchek, Sam Pittman, or anything to do with the University of Arkansas football program. And if you're affiliated, damn you, according to Hog Blitz. I don't care where you're at with that. If Sam Pittman, the guy that has coached offensive line for a really long time, is telling you, hey, look, man, I think you should play the interior. Now, he didn't really say that there. I mean, as we just quoted him, but it sounds like that probably did occur in that conversation to maybe even a larger degree than he's letting on. Maybe he said, look, that is what you are. You're going to end up playing interior. You're just not that guy outside. That doesn't mean you're not a great offensive lineman. It just means you're playing the wrong spot. I like it. I'm all for it. I had heard this rumor. This was mentioned to me like when was that? Late last year, someone had said, I think Carmona, I wish I could remember who said it, but it was another media member who said, I think there's going to be a time when he's going to go to the interior. And so it looks like that's going to happen. So, yeah. I'm all for it, especially with Robinson, and you're going to have a guy with experience in the SEC and Carmona, and then, whatever else, however else that plays out on the offensive line. Thank God some of those guys got some experience in the bowl game, right? It's about – I already read that. Kobe Branham is from Fort Smith. That's right. He is from Fort Smith. Why would it be a big deal if he can't block? LOL. Johnny, I don't know if you're listening, man. He was third team All-SEC at left tackle. The most, arguably one of the most physical and demanding, even though it may not be what it once was. Like Carmona definitely earned his stripes, man. I mean, that's kind of a wild take, Johnny. I don't know what makes you think he can't block, because he can. Cal is locking down Acuff. Yeah, that's this weekend, by the way. Acuff will be in town. Darius Acuff will be in town. That's going to be a big one. Acuff, who is a big time point guard, man. 5-star, 6'2", 180 pounds. Arkansas, Duke. Arkansas, Kentucky, Kansas, Michigan, Alabama. All are in on him. He does have some crystal balls, and he's been favored to Arkansas since July of last year. So, Arkansas. No. I'm not Acuff. Sorry, we're talking about the other guy, not Acuff. My bad. I had Acuff's. I was doing a video for Acuff earlier about something, and no, the other kid. Hold on, I'm blanking on his name. Hang on. It's not Acuff. He signed. This class is turning out to be incredible. I mean, again, and it shouldn't shock anybody, right? Why am I blanking on this kid's name? Arkansas. I'm sure you guys already said it in chat. Well, son of a bitch. You guys help me out. Who am I thinking of? The 5-star, damn it. Nate Ament. That's it. Ament. That's what happens when you do everything but prepare for recruiting. Yeah, Nate Ament. He's the forward. He's the 6', what is he, 6'10", 190 pounds. He looks, if you watch his film, he looks a lot. He doesn't even look 190 pounds. That's probably because he's 6'9", 6'10", but he is a 5-star, top 5 player, number 1 player in the state of Virginia. Really, really, really good player. It's going to come down to Arkansas, Kentucky. It sounds like that's what's going to happen. I was going to say, I knew this kid didn't have a crystal ball. Not yet. We'll see after this weekend. We'll see. Cal all over this guy. All over Nate Ament. But if he picks Kentucky, I'm not going to be very thrilled about that. I don't like them already. Like, look, they are in the tournament. They're going to be a higher seed. They're already going to let us know all about that, right? And that's what they do. I don't want them getting any more dubs over Arkansas. But Nate Ament will be on campus this weekend. So that'll be a big one. Be another 5-star to this class. But this class it's already crazy though. Acuff, who when the hell did he's signed up? Malik Thomas. Have you guys been watching the Malik Thomas highlight stuff on Twitter? And oh my gosh, Malik is him. Malik is fantastic. And he's not afraid to be a little mouthy. I've been watching a lot of him lately. I was gonna upload some more footage on him, but I thought, nah, we should probably move on to spring football. So yeah. And they have the other kid committed from Springdale, Seeley, the 6'7" kid. So yeah, they've already got 3, and that would be if they could get him on. That'd be a good one. Yeah, just making sure. Yeah, so the 25 class coming together really good. Only 5 more months till football. Yeah, I'm ready for that, man, for sure. Mr. DC Kyle says, but I'll laugh if they end up early exit. Wait, are you talking about Arkansas in the NCAA tournament or the SEC tournament? Or Kentucky, I mean. You're talking about Kentucky. Yeah, if they're one and done in the tournament and Arkansas advances, Arkansas Twitter, Hog Twitter might turn into the devil for Kentucky fans. Fingers crossed, right? I can't wait. I love it when you guys get excited for football because I'm excited for football. So Arkansas is going to be without Cam Ball throughout spring camp. If you guys missed out on that little tidbit of wonderful news, they're going to be without Cam Ball and who were the other ones? David Oak. or Okie, okay, whatever his name is. Oak is going to be out for a week. And then there are a couple others. A couple other players. No one like huge. Of course, you're going to be without the receiver from A&M, the track, what's his name? Track guy. By the way, on EA College Football 2.5, he's insane because of his speed. You just put him on a go route, man. Put him on a fade and man-to-man coverage. If there's no safety over the top, he just turns and burns. It's incredible. Like, he's always my leading receiver year 2 for Arkansas, always. He did talk about Shaq McRoy today, by the way. I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but Shaq McRoy, he's been really impressed with him. So, again, we're going to, as this picture becomes more and more clear through camp, so what I'll be doing, like I did last year, like I've done, really I started doing this 2 years ago, but it became more Patreon-focused last year, and I'm probably going to continue doing that. Well, I am going to continue doing that. I'm going to get footage, what I can, and then maybe I'll send some breakdowns into Discord, Patreon part of Discord. Again, you can have access to that if you're a Patreon member, but you got to be in Discord to see it. So, and the reason why I do that, partly because Patreon, there's not a lot of people that actually visit the page. We've got 130 freaking supporters, 75 of which are paid supporters, but no one visits the page. So, like, I just don't post there. I might try to start building that page more and more, but I think partly because I put everything in the Patreon chat and Discord, that's why you don't get as many people visiting the actual page. But I'll try to upload as much as I can where I can. I might even create a whole new room just for more videos. You know, of course, I'm going to post stuff to Twitter as well, but it's going to be both. You guys are going to get, you're going to get the footage that I don't post on Twitter. So, and it's really tough to focus on one group or more than one group. It's really tough because I'm one guy. They'll have the offensive line on the complete opposite side of the field, and the defensive line on the north part of the field. So it's incredibly. If I'm going to pick a group, I got to pick that group and kind of try to stick with them for that day. Hopefully, they give us as many periods as they did last year during spring camp. The first day of spring camp last year, it was like, God, they gave us like 8 periods or something. And it was that way for the first few practices, and then it kept getting narrower, more narrow, and until the very end. But, yeah. So I think we kind of covered it all. Yeah, Jordan Anthony, by the way, is who I was talking about, the receiver/track guy. He's going to go run track. We talked about the GM. He did talk about the spring game. They are going to do it. They're going to do it. They asked him if not having the game on TV any benefits for it being on TV. He said, I don't see a benefit of having it on. And then he says, yeah, I do. Maybe the transcript's wrong. Again, I couldn't hear any of this audio, so I don't know. I'm just going by what the transcript says here. But the only benefit would be that they want to talk to me out there, and while I'm out there, those words being said on TV, plays being called, defenses being called. So he's just more worried about teams picking up on what he's doing, right? I mean, this is why they didn't allow the media there during practice during the season. We were there during spring camp, right? We were there during fall camp, but once the season started, they closed it off entirely. I didn't mind it one bit because that meant I got to save a little bit of gas. Considering gas is hovering around $3 a gallon, I'm not shedding tears over if they're going to close it out again. What else did we talk about? What weight is Braylon Russell carrying right now? 238 for Braylon Russell. 238 pounds. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to let him keep that weight on or not by fall, but we'll see. So there was some comment. He was asked about the 10-day portal window, and that takes forever. I mean, that's like a chapter. There's so much there. He doesn't have all the information on Madden Iamaleava because he wasn't really a part of that recruiting. That was really apparently a Bobby Petrino thing. But he did say, he was asked about what did you or Bobby see in Madden Iamaleava at quarterback? Pittman responded, great arm talent. His brother that's done it, that was developed, mature, older, which if he has arm talent, he's knowledgeable about the game, and he's mature, then you might can get him on the field faster. But to perfectly be honest with you, I had hip surgery. Bobby called me 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, "I think we can get this guy. What do you think?" And I said, "No, hold on. Well, we got to think about the quarterback that we have and that kind of thing." So again, he's talking about the kid out of the in-state quarterback that they told they weren't going to offer another quarterback, and then they did it. And he says, I watched his tape, and I think we ought to take him. So that was pretty simple, and Bobby's already done the work on that part. I think they may have called us the next day, and he signed. And he goes on to say, so I wish recruiting was I wish all recruiting was like that. Hold on, let me read this correctly. So I wish all of the recruiting was like that, and we can go late. Hell, I'd invite not all of you, but most of you down here or down there can make it out. Blah blah blah. I don't know. I'm not gonna read all that. Sometimes these are just hard to read. So, anyways, yeah, there you go. I think we kind of touched on most of the things that he talked about, most of the important stuff. I probably missed something. I always do, but. Not always, but I do tend to. When you've got this amount of stuff to discuss and everything that he said today, he was pretty wordy. I think he talked for like almost 40 minutes today, and it's not real common for him. He's usually like a 30-minute guy. He went on. So, yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see like this fall camp. And I said before, and I find it interesting when I brought up that I was excited about watching the twos at quarterback, and someone put in the comment section like, why would I care about the backup quarterback battle? Which, man, that is some like, think about it like this. That guy that wins that battle between KJ Jackson, Wilson, and Madden Amaliava, like, that's probably your next starter. Most likely. Now, yeah, they can hop into the portal and so on and so forth. That could happen, sure. But that could be your starting quarterback. And by the way, what does Green like to do? He likes to run the ball. He missed time last year, especially in the Tennessee game. He missed out, closing that game out because of the injury that he sustained in that game. He's going to take a lot of hits, and they're going to key in on him this year. I mean, the guy had 3,800 total yards of offense. I think he had 25 total touchdowns. They know about him now. And so I'm just saying they're going to be a little bit more prepared. Now, obviously, it's on Petrino and the offense and the offensive line to protect him more and hopefully have more playmakers around him. But he's going to get banged up. He's going to get hit. He's going to take a lot of hits. So you need that QB2 to be the guy, and whether that's KJ Jackson or if it's Madden Amaliava or the other freshman, the in-state kid. I think that's a big deal. If you want my opinion, that's a huge deal. So that might be where I'm at day one, is watching the quarterbacks. So somebody's been practicing pronunciation. Yeah. I've worked on it. I have worked on it. Didn't Petrino close it off also? Are you talking about practice? I'm not sure. I'm sure that he did, because he was a guy that looked for every advantage that he could get. I'm excited for football, Ty, especially seeing what happens these next few months. Hopefully we get all the guys back healthy. I am a little bit concerned, not that I have necessarily heard anything, but that next portal opening in April, you just hope no one gets poached. Let's just hope no one gets poached. I don't want to see that again. I don't want to see another player get poached. I don't want to see another, Arkansas's been hit no matter what portal cycle it is. I don't want any more. I want to take what they have now and take that into fall camp. Right? We have we have the number 3 hardest schedule in the country next season. We'll struggle to go bowling again, says DJ. I'm not going to pronounce that because that might be sexual, your name. I'm not entirely sure. Man, let's look at it this way. You don't really know, thanks to the portal, you don't really know how good a team is actually going to be until you get several games into the year. Yeah, it looks right now, that is a daunting schedule. Those road games are going to be tough. I think they only play 5 games in Fayetteville. They got the one game in Little Rock. Like, that sucks, right? You're going to have to go to some difficult places that are not right now looking at it. But sometimes what has happened is the schedule by the end of the season, you'll see that strength of schedule drop. I think that's going to happen. I really do. I just have a hunch. I've kind of been keeping up with some of these other rosters a little bit. I don't know that everyone got the upgrades they think they got. And some of the quarterbacks, you look at who's the quarterback at Auburn. What did he do at Oklahoma? Now, to be fair, a little bit different scenario. Maybe they've got a better offensive line. He was really, really pressured at Oklahoma a lot. But like, I don't know that that's this big. Auburn fans are really excited about it. Maybe they should be, but I'm not entirely sold that that's like a huge upgrade for them. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you could look at several schools. I don't know, at least based on who Arkansas is going to play. Again, I haven't done a deep dive on anybody yet. That usually comes after spring camp when I do my game by game, when I'm kind of doing the math, doing the research, watching what I can, looking up PFF numbers, going into some of the analytics, and just kind of doing everything I can to prepare to give you guys a better idea of what's going to happen this year or what I think is going to happen. But on the surface, I'm not sold that every one of these teams that you're going to play this year are going to be as good as they're being hyped up to be. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. So that being said, I don't take strength of schedule. I don't take that like I used to, like 5-6 years ago, or pre-portal, pre-NIL, because the portal has changed everything. You don't always know. This guy might have been great, but he might have been great because he played in that system, and he comes over, and it's a completely different system, and it takes him a year to figure it out, and he's not as great as he could have been. Or maybe his offensive line the year before was absolute shit. He was pressured a lot, and now maybe they're going to be improved. So there might be some of that as well. There could be some teams that are better than the way they, on the surface, the way that they look. But I'm not sold that this is the third toughest schedule. It is tough, but I'm not sold yet that it's the third toughest schedule in the conference. I don't even know if it's or in the country. I don't even know if it's top 10 because I just don't take those early strength of schedules that serious until we get, a few games into the year. Oklahoma State is a really good example of that. Right? They were preseason, if they weren't ranked, I think they were in the top 20. I mean, they were supposed to be good. They were picked to finish top 2, top 3 in the Big 12, and look what happened. Should have won that game, right? And that's what's embarrassing about it. That's what sucks. Definitely, I feel like that was a 9 out of a 10 kind of game where, like, you played them that 10th time they lost the game. The other 9 times, Arkansas probably beats them and beats them pretty easily. So, yeah, I'm not sold just yet. Let's get a few games into the year, and then we can talk, right? And even then, sometimes you don't know what you are. A&M's a really good example. We thought A&M might actually be really damn good despite that early loss they had in the year to Notre Dame. And they ended up being still really good, but not as good as we thought they were the first few games into the year, 5 or 6 games into the season. Arkansas had a shot at beating them. I mean, but that's how that game always plays out. All right. I do appreciate everyone. I really do. Thank you for being here. We will be back. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get Blake Lovell on tomorrow or not. His schedule, with Southeastern 16, he was dealing with something. He lost his voice or whatever, but he was on Southeastern today, and we're going to try and work something out maybe next week to get him on. I don't know. We'll figure it out, right? But I might need to reach out to some other people. Of course, Courtney, Mason Choate, Courtney Mims. I'm going to try and get them on here within the next couple of weeks also. So, yeah, can't believe we lost to those bums. Tell me about it, Bobby. Arkansas should have won that game. It's insane to me. And who beat them? Themselves, not Oklahoma State. So, see you in the Discord. All right, yeah, we're going to give away these cards here in just a minute. Oh, my God, it's 8 o'clock. For some reason, I had it in my head it was barely 7:30, but all right. Appreciate you. Here's the new name list. Make sure your name is, if it's not on there, please let me know, and I can look it up and fix it and correct it for you. But here's the new list. Well, after the intro or outro plays, you'll see it. But appreciate you all, and I'll see some of you guys in Discord here in just a little bit.